If I had a nickel for every 2025 film based on a dystopian Stephen King book centered around a game show, or I guess a contest with a name centered around leg-based mobility, I would have 2 nickels. It's not a lot. It's just kind of weird it happened twice. But if I had a nickel for all of that, and I loved the film, I'd only have 1 nickel. And if you watched my video on The Long Walk, and thank you so much if you didn't, thank you so much for watching this as well, you know The Long Walk is the film that I loved. I watched The Running Man yesterday, and I didn't hate the film by any means. I enjoyed it. I had a good time, but I didn't love it. And it's not one of those where I'm like, I've been trying to figure out why and trying to really figure out what it was about this movie that didn't quite work for me, because I could kind of figure it out as I was watching it. To me, there's 3 key points, and I will try to talk about it as non-spoilery as possible before moving into like, okay, let me kind of go full spoilers. Point number 1 is something, I guess all of them do have spoilery and non-spoilery aspects, but I would say it's pacing. I don't really know how to quantify this, so I'll just say it as the protagonist's badassery levels, and it's less the message itself and more how on the nose it very often is. When it comes to the pacing, I felt like the first chunk of the movie, I'm not even sure how long, maybe 15 minutes, maybe even 20 minutes before Richards actually enters the Running Man, feels a bit too slow for me. And I understand it. It is very much supposed to be like, here is Ben Richards. Here is a man who has spent the majority of his life fighting for other people. You know, he lost his job, and the reason he lost his job is because he was a construction worker, but he spoke to the union about the radiation levels. As I think they said, it's like, you know, like you stuck your neck out for your guys way too many times, and then someone higher up on the food chain decided to lop it off. He's someone who's been fired from multiple jobs for insubordination. And how much of that is, you know, he's sticking it to the man, and how much of it is, you know, he can be kind of a stubborn asshole. He's described as being someone who's incredibly angry. But again, that anger comes from being someone who's on the bottom, but doing his best. But that best is never quite enough for the people on top. He's angry because, excuse me, he's angry because he doesn't sleep a lot. He's angry because his daughter is sick and he can't afford to buy her really good medicine because he's not employed anymore. And his wife is someone who's a waitress and she's working for tips. He's like, I really hate that job that you have because of the people you're around. And if one person looks at you the wrong way or thinks that you're taking advantage of them, everything could go to shit. Like, it's too precarious. I want and need a way out. So he goes to apply for game shows, and game shows are very clearly exploiting people like him, the people on the bottom, the poor, the downtrodden, while making it as much of a spectacle as possible for the people on top. And it's like, it seems like in some of the game shows, like the spin, the wheel, where a dude is literally running in a hamster wheel answering questions. And if he gets one wrong, it goes faster and faster until he falls off. It seems that in some of them, it's like, let's feel bad for the poor guy, but have some fun at his expense. Whereas the Running Man, which is the big game show, very much paints the contestants as horrible people, so the audience wants to see them bleed and see them die. Like, no, we want you to participate in the hunt. He's not American. Look at him. He's been spreading, like, rumors to the commies. And, I don't remember the name of, like, the MC of the show, but he was easily my favorite character in the movie, just because his performance was so ting-tang. But, it was weapons. Sorry. I was trying to remember. I was like, I watched something recently that also had Josh Brolin in it. And it was kind of bothering me every now and then while I was watching the film. I was like, what was it? Oh, right, it was weapons. I still haven't done my thing on weapons. I'm going to do that soon. Anyways, but sorry, going on tangents. But this first chunk of the movie, I understand what it's doing. I understand why it's important. We need reasons to root for this guy aside from, just basic human empathy. It's like everything that he is doing because of his desperate situation and to provide for his family. That makes him likable, that makes him empathetic. We need to see that. We need to see his motivation. I will also say I'm going into the film knowing that he takes place in The Running Man. I don't need all of this because I already know where it's going. And I feel like, you could just say, he's someone who, he's unemployed because he's been sticking his neck out too much. His daughter is sick. His wife is working a job he thinks is a bit dangerous. And he's a really angry person, so they think he'd be perfect for this show. Boom. In 10 seconds, kind of gave you everything you needed to know. It felt like it was a bit too long. Then once the competition starts, I thought it was paced really well until the third act, until the stuff on the airplane. And I don't feel like that's super spoilery to say because it's in the trailers. There were points watching the movie where I was thinking to myself, okay, so this is that part with the grenade in the elevator. I remember seeing that in the trailers. Okay, now we've gotten to Michael Cera and he was pretty predominantly in the trailers. When do we get to the thing in the airplane? Oh, okay, so that's the last third of the movie. And for me personally, without going super deep into this section because it's very spoilery, I thought the ending felt kind of rushed. I feel like a lot of the stuff that happens on the plane is really interesting, but there was part of me thinking, number one, we're doing this already? Number two, he's believing some of the reveals that happen. I'm like, I don't necessarily trust this because throughout the film, we've seen deep fakes and he's aware of those. He's believing this really easily. And I understand, but I don't know how easily I buy him believing this easily, if that makes sense. Well, it's still trying to keep it kind of vague. And then the last, basically the film's epilogue was just a lot of, wait, what? Really? So that happened, and that happened, and that happened. It's this feels really convenient. I don't know how much I buy it. Do I dislike it? Not necessarily, but I don't know if it quite works. So to me, that's problem number one. Problem number two is the protagonist badassery levels. From the trailer, the film that I thought I'll say it like this. One thing I don't love about death games, as someone who enjoys that kind of genre, because I guess I'm the perfect audience for The Running Man, is seeing a character get by on their own merits. It's your own chutzpah, your own cunning, your own intelligence, and yes, even your social game, your ability to make connections and have people want to help you, have people like you. That is something that is important, with some luck thrown in there as well. And I feel like the whole scene at the hotel with the grenade in the elevator shown in the trailers, that to me is my favorite part of the movie, because it's a scene where, yes, there are definitely some moments of luck, but you are seeing Richard's chutzpah. You are seeing the way he is coming up with different ideas and different strategies. Oh shit, there's people around me. I don't know, how I'm supposed to find them without getting caught. So he, breaks part of a mirror, ties it to what was it? I think he like rips a handle out of a shower, ties a thing of a mirror around it to look around a corner. That's really cool. Or like when he's rappelling, I'm like, that's really cool. This is really fun. And then, when he's in the room, he has a candle, and then he finds like a Playboy magazine. Okay, let me light this on fire, and I'll use it as a torch. With, again, some lucky breaks happening as well. But it's that perfect combination of, you're gonna need some luck to get out of this, but here is him also getting by using what he has. Being intelligent, having the guts to do this, being strong enough to rip that shit out of a wall. I love seeing that. It feels like almost every other action set piece, though, is less of, here is him getting by on that, and more of, here is someone else helping him out. And them doing most of the heavy lifting. Like, the whole section with Michael Cera, and I think a lot, if not most of that action is just in the trailers. Yeah, that's just Michael Cera doing all the shit. And it's cool. It's really fun. Like, Richards does, like, one thing at the end of that set piece, and and again, not to, like, he does do something cool, but a lot of it was just sort of set up by Michael Cera anyways. Like, he didn't have to do a whole lot, at least not for me. Like, there's this one, like, really violent moment. You're like, that's really cool. Michael Cera is the one that did that. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because I see how it plays into some of the moral and, like, message of the film, which I'm kind of transitioning into as well, which is essentially, the man is bad. It's very Hunger Games-y. And I know, like, this is something that came out, like, way before Hunger Games, but just that sense of, here's the haves, here's the, what were they? The capital. It's like, here's the capital, here's the districts. The Hunger Games are this big reality show where the capital sees it as someone from the districts is gonna have a chance to become part of our high society, and, like a butterfly, like they're lowly little caterpillar. Here is the chrysalis forming them, and now they're this beautiful butterfly that enters our society, and everything is so great. And we don't understand what it's actually like for them down there. And for them down there, they absolutely hate the people on top because they don't have to work very hard. Everything is easy, like, et cetera, et cetera. And how the government is controlling everything. They control the media. You can't actually make an honest statement because they'll just cut to ads, or they'll just heavily edit and alter what you're saying. And not even like, oh, we're gonna change your words around. Like, no, it's just completely fake bullshit that never ever actually happened. I feel like in 2025, and my understanding is the book takes place in 2025, which makes it coming out this year, like, super neat, with AI and deep fake technology being so prevalent. I think that's really interesting, and I like that aspect. In a world that very much feels heavily advertised, to the point where I'm like, man, I would love to just, like, there's certain sites, sorry, saying it like that makes it sound like, man, there's certain sites I use that are full of ads, porn. I basically just feed YouTube because, like, no, I don't really want to pay for no ads. And I guess that's on me, but don't really want to. I didn't before. It's like, it was fine before, and then said, we're going to make this super advertised now. Like, Twitter was perfectly fine before. Now I feel like there's bots everywhere, and it's just ads constantly. Even when I'm on TV tropes on my phone, like, oh, I like scrolling this. Here's a giant ad where you just cannot even read the page anymore. And I find that really annoying. Is there another example? Oh no, just when if on like Netflix or Amazon Prime or Hulu or something like that, it's like, okay, this is how much you have to pay for our service. Cool. Now here's how much you have to pay if you don't want ads. And I think there was one, what was it? It might have been Netflix. It was like, here's what you pay if you want the service. here's what you pay if you want less ads, and then here's what you pay if you want no ads. And it just reminds me of, I think it's season 1, episode 2 of Black Mirror. Like, what is it? Like 10 million merits, like 100 million merits, where you're just getting ads constantly and you can pay to skip the ad, but you have to keep working for it. And if you don't have enough, you have to, like, you can't even close your eyes. You have to watch the ad. I think about that. And I thought about that, like, that episode a lot watching The Running Man. To be fair, I think I enjoyed that more than The Running Man, because that's probably my favorite episode of Black Mirror. Sorry, I could go on a tangent. Short version, I think I stopped watching Black Mirror around season 4 or 5, and there's some really good episodes in those first, like, 4 or 5 seasons. I'd say that, White Bear, and White Christmas are the ones that, like, mostly live in my head rent-free. But this one in particular. So, I enjoyed those aspects of, like, the theme, that theme of control and advertising, because it's something I see in the world around me. That, and in addition to that, that theme of, you know, unionizing, like, getting together, you know, we, like, ape strong together, we got these diamond hands, you know, don't sell, you know, they're saying, you know, like, the stock ain't worth anything anymore, but it's because they want you to freak out. Like, I've seen that happen in, like, that was what, like, 2020, 2021, only a few years ago. Like, that does happen. But I won't deny it's really hammered in to a point where I'm like, I'm enjoying the film, and I don't disagree with what the film is about and what it's trying to say. But I think it's just a little too on point, a little too often. Especially when I compare it to The Long Walk, where I feel like both of these are films about a totalitarian regime that is glamorizing a deadly competition with the idea of, if you win, here's all the stuff that we can do for you, but you have to win it first, and you're probably not gonna. And compared to The Running Man, where it's like, okay, yeah, so, like, there's always gonna, like, generally this is what happens. You're gonna have your 3 contestants. One of them is gonna be someone who is heavily underestimating how dangerous this is, and they're gonna die. One of them is someone who's like, I'm just gonna use, like, what I've got to live it up as long as I can, because my life sucks anyways, and when it's my time, it's my time. And then here's the person who's actually trying to win, that gets the ratings up, but ultimately isn't gonna make it. Like, okay, like, that's interesting. And then in The Long Walk, it's everyone signed up for this, knowing exactly what they were getting into, and none of them really comprehending what they were getting into, and how as dangerous as it is, as fucked up as it is, and they all know this. Not only did all of them sign up for it, they even bring up, do you know anyone that didn't sign up for it? And there's something about that that is so interesting and so fascinating to me. Not to say that, you know, someone being desperate to live it up or get out of their situation, or not understanding understanding this isn't interesting, but The Long Walk is so fascinating to me. And while The Running Man is like, oh yeah, you know, like, there are people that are helping this guy because, you know, they see him as this folk hero, and throughout the film, you know, you got people screaming like, Richards lives, on, like, not billboards, on, like, big, like, cardboard signs and shit. Like, he is becoming this folk hero of someone who's sticking it to the man, and someone who's surviving, and, you know, playing up the role and all of that. And, like, that's fun. And people gravitate toward him as a cultural symbol. And it is about, again, like, the camaraderie in the face of a totalitarian regime, and in the face of control and all of that. And I look at The Long Walk, which is similar. It's about finding camaraderie in a world that tells you none exists. It's about brotherhood when you're supposed to be as cutthroat as possible. It's about how even in a zero-sum game, we can't help but be human and make connections and want to see other people succeed, even if it diminishes our own chances. And it's very clearly there and important, but I feel like in that movie, it's not outright saying every 10 minutes, this is what the movie's about. It just kind of lets that happen. Whereas in The Running Man, to me, it felt very much neon sign blinking, this is what the movie's about. And like, I get it. You don't have to keep reminding me. So that's my more or less non-spoilery thoughts on the film. Short version, as critical as I'm being, I did enjoy it. I did, again, like, I like the message. I just think it's a little much at times. I think the most of the movie is paced well. Just the very beginning and the very end, to me, didn't quite work. And I do think a lot of the set pieces are really fun, with the one in the hotel being my absolute favorite. But I kind of wanted to see more of Richards doing cool shit on his own, or with connections he was genuinely forming, rather than him essentially being worshipped as a hero by a resistance he didn't even know existed. I feel like it's also important to say, I probably should have said this at the start, I've never read the book and I haven't seen the original film with Arnie. There's a fun Arnie reference that does happen in the movie. Like, yeah, I appreciated that a lot. But overall, no, like, I did enjoy it. I would say if you're interested in watching it, you probably should. You'll probably have a good time with it, but those are my thoughts. So I guess going into spoilers, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoilers now live. So for me, the ending, a lot of it is the fact that he doesn't last the full 30 days. The climax happens on day 18. Not because he dies on day 18, like, that'd be one thing, but it's like, okay, it's been 18 days. It's time to go ahead and stop this. It's time to go ahead and make you a deal to become like our new star and all of that. And I was just kind of, already? He didn't even last 3 weeks yet. He's close to it. Like, we're not even in the 20s yet. If this was like day 25 or day 26, like, he's getting close. And he's been like really avoiding people the past few days, where like they don't know if they're going to get him or find him. I would get that, but the network, to me, did not feel desperate enough yet. And maybe it is just the fact that, he is this cult hero, and, they don't want there to be a revolution. They don't want there to be unrest. They'd rather say, okay, let's not let this go on further. Let's just take him now. And I think that was probably supposed to be the idea, but I don't think it went far enough with it for me. Again, like, you'll see people watching the show and, like, absolutely loving this dude, like, the Richards lives. But I'm not actually seeing, like, riots. I'm not seeing protests or anything like that. Like, if people are like, I'm not working because this guy is giving me a reason not to, or, yeah, like, there's actual, like, fights and riots and fires. Like, I compared it to the Hunger Games earlier. I'm remembering the start of Catching Fire, where Snow sits Katniss down. He's like, all right, look, you and I need to have a conversation. What you pulled at the end of the game with, like, you and Peter are going to eat the berries, I don't like it. Because that was an act of defiance. And that, to kind of use this film's own metaphor, like, that can be the spark that leads to the fire that brings my whole system down. I don't like that. But if I were to just, like, get rid of you, they're not going to like that either. That might make it worse. What I need you to do, Katniss Everdeen, is, like, I need you to control this flame that you have started, and I need you to smother it and put it out. And then Katniss, and, Peeta too, but, like, they're going on this tour and going to all the districts and, like, oh, hi, like, I won and blah, 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 blah. And, like, you have to downplay the defiance. You have to downplay revolution and all of that. And she's doing her best. And the scene that like lives in my head rent free, I think about it every now and then. Not super often. But is after all of that, she looks at Snow and he doesn't say anything. He just shakes his head. And I love that. It's like, no, you didn't do a good enough job. Now there's gonna be consequences. And if I felt that from Killian, like, look, people they like you more than I felt. Like, I knew they'd like you. I knew our ratings were gonna go up. This is more than I bargained for. This is how we're gonna play things. I'd like that. Like, it would make sense for him to make these moves this early. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fire my current hunter and like make sure you kill him. Like, why? Like, did he do something wrong? Like, I get the idea of like, all right, out with the old, in with the new kind of thing. Like, but really? Like, you think people like Richards that much? Your other guys are being praised as American heroes. Like, if Amelia's anything to go by, the people in the Capitol, to keep with the Hunger Games analogy, they hate Richards. Look at Michael Cera's mom. I don't know, but, like, sure, it didn't quite work. And then the epilogue of, yeah, the plane exploded, but don't worry, even though he was stabbed, it could, like, barely move, it barely had any energy, he was able to find the escape pod, get in that thing, and get out. And luckily, someone, I think it was supposed to be Amelia, I could be wrong, it's like someone managed to find the black box, and like we're being able to like broadcast it everywhere, and it's great, and now we've got a revolution and all of this, and Killian's security like isn't good enough, and like they're not able to find Richards. Like, I don't know, doesn't he have like that thing on his wrist? I just kind of assumed they could always find where he was based on that. They say other things like, oh yeah, there's DNA trafficking, there's DNA scanners, I think, in the streetlights, and when you mail, that's how they're supposed to find him. Like, I don't know, he literally has this thing on his wrist, and maybe he took it off at the end. That would make sense. Like, that's my assumption of how they would track him, at the very least, as like a last resort. We always know where you are. Yeah, and then like he's somehow able to find his wife, even though like she's under like super secret witness protection. Like, okay, like how did you actually manage to do that? Like, a lot of the things at the end, like, I don't know how much I buy this. Now, the whole like countdown, and then like when he shoots the Killian, like, that was really cool. That was really hype, really fun. I don't know if everything led up to it that like quite worked. And then I was talking about like the deep fakes. Like, I don't know why he would believe this so easily. Like, oh yeah, sorry, the dudes killed your wife and your kid, and here's the video of it happening. I understand, because this is the thing that I feel like he was most terrified of. Here's the thing. When the movie started, it's immediately what I thought would happen, is that there would be a point where he gets really far, like the last couple days, and they would say, cool, we have your family under witness protection, which means we can do whatever we want. You need to lose, because we're not going to pay you $1 billion. Hell no. Here's your option, Richards. You can win, and we'll pay you, but we'll kill your family. So you'll have what you wanted, but not your why. You'll have your what, but not your why. Or you can lose. Make it look good, but you can lose. You will lose, but your family will be taken care of. Choice is yours and yours alone. And instead, they fake a video of the family dying, but they don't actually do it, and it's shown, and none of the hunters say anything, which I kind of figured. They're like, all right, it's to make the show more interesting or whatever. And only, what's his name, McCone, I think, he's the only one to be like, dude, did you actually believe that? Like, how stupid are you? You know they fake things. You've been a victim of that yourself. You bought it that easily? What's wrong with you? I'm like, I kind of agree with him here. Like, this feels like really, really obvious bullshit, but sure, I guess. Like I said, to me, the ending of the movie felt really rushed and quite work in a lot of different ways. I will say, though, he does show a lot of chutzpah on the plane. Like, Michael Cera did basically all the heavy lifting in that scene. Even, like, cutting the dude's Achilles. That was Michael Cera. I think Richard, Richard was able to, fight and hold his own. Without Michael Cera, he totally would have died there. When he's with the brothers, like, they're the ones driving the car, doing all the cool shit. I remember Richard, like, throws a tire iron at a dude, but most of all of that was the brother driving the car. The plane, while Killian sets him up with a gun, pretty much everything else he does do by himself. But Killian did give him the gun, and it's McCone completely called his bluff. Like, he has to get saved a few times for that to work. Like, bailed out by people on top. And I'm like, I kind of wish he was able to pull this off more on his own. Like, taking Amelia hostage, like, that worked. And understanding his role and playing it up, that I will 100% give him. I'm like, that's less of someone saving you and more of you understanding your assignment. You could argue that's what happens with his, with his bluff. But Killian knows, he's like, no, I know you're full of shit. I'm just having fun here. So it was less of the chutzpah working and more of someone else being okay with it. It's maybe like a 50-50, like a 40-60 split. But I kind of wish more of it was like the scene in the hotel where this is him taking care of himself with a little bit of luck thrown in as well. I don't think there's anything really spoilery to say about the message aside from, like the deep fake of the wife and the child dying, which was deeply fake. I think that's pretty much it. And again, overall, I did enjoy the movie. Excuse me. But I do have criticisms of it. There are parts that did not quite work for me, but I'm glad I saw it. I would recommend watching it if you're interested in it. I think that's about it. Have a good day.